All right. Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 2 of the pod where we're going to deep dive into this drama-filled college football NFL weekend. EFP season is officially over, which means now I get to tell you on this pod why Miami's going to run it back and make the Natty again and win. We're going to go into the wild card weekend as well, and then we're going to give you our locks of the week where we are 100% accurate. Even though we're 2 for 10, we're still the most trusted source for locks on the entire platform, so make sure you stay tuned for those as well in the Lock of the Week segments. And yeah, without further ado, let me introduce my boy Alex. How have you been, buddy?
Yeah, been good. A lot of sports, a lot of headlines. I'm excited to dive into it. I know, being a fellow host with a Miami fan, long weekend. Excited to get a little bit more into detail with that going forward. I think we've got really good locks for the week. I think last week, um, you know, we were close. We were close. I think we can agree. We were close.
We're close. And that's all that matters, And the first week it was just a test week. We wanted to see if you guys would follow us and bet our locks anyway, even though we knew we were going to get them wrong, and that just shows your guys' loyalty to the pod, so we appreciate that. And without further ado, we have a lot to get to today, so I want to start off and, kind of talk about some things that I know maybe might not be familiar about, but I think were crazy things of the week that we can't have this sports podcast on and miss out. And so the first thing I want to talk about is, and you probably have no idea this happened, and might be the craziest thing I think I've seen all week as a sports fan, the Africa Cup of Nations final. And so let me
That
give you some
was
context on what happened here. And so this is what happened. We have, the game's going on, it's a tie game. Senegal scores a goal in the 90th minute, overruled by VAR. They said, nope, canceled. Not even 2 minutes later, Morocco comes down, gets gifted a penalty by the VAR, the assistant referee. Senegal's coach says, nah, we're done. We're not playing. And they walk off the field for 25 minutes. 25 minutes later, they walk back on the field. The penalty taker comes up from Morocco, Brahim Diaz, and he does a Panenka penalty, which essentially means he tries to chip the keeper right down the middle, and the keeper just stands there and catches it. It might be the worst penalty attempt I've ever seen in my entire life in a
so
final.
I have a lot of questions about this, and I've seen a lot of stuff online, and I want to pick your brain. First off, I want to start with the number one thing that I saw the most of was what was happening with the goalie's towel.
Yeah, and then that's the thing with AFCON is there's just so much random that it literally that game encaps like it just encaptures what AFCON is. It's crazy, hectic, back and forth soccer. It is the most hectic tournament I've ever seen, and the whole time the backup goalie for Senegal was protecting the towel, and I guess it was a little rainy, and I don't know exactly what was going on, but they're fighting the whole game. I've never seen anything like that before. I can't even explain that. It's not even like a tactic. I don't know what's going on. And
So for our our viewers who don't know too much, and including myself, about AFCON, can you explain what AFCON is first off?
so essentially every few years, all the African nations have a tournament in late December, runs till about first week of or last week of January, and it's essentially kind of like Copa America or the Euros. It's one of those soccer tournaments where it's just intercontinental and all the nations play within the continent that they reside in, and whoever wins that is the champion of the continent essentially. And so this game happened, and it just encaptured everything what African football is about. Just like back and forth, the drama. There's a lot of great storylines from the Cup of Nations, and maybe down the line we'll do a soccer pod and we'll get into a lot of that stuff, and that'll be a lot of fun to go into. But I felt like I had to bring that up because it's insane. Now,
Yeah, I saw a lot of what I feel corruption, um, especially with and for those of you who haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go look at the medal giving out ceremony, or when they gave the cup, sorry, to Senegal. It was one of the most uncomfortable scenes I've ever seen. It looked like they didn't want to give it to him. I don't know if you felt that way. It looked like they were trying to keep it for themselves. It looked like the
it
whole
was in
entire
Morocco. It was
yeah.
in the host country, so maybe they were just like, man, we don't want to give it to them, but it was just crazy, crazy event. I can't even put words to it, but I feel like I wanted to bring it up because if you have not seen what happened there, you have to watch it because that might be the most insane thing I've ever seen in a professional
Yeah, it was
match
wild.
in my
It was
life, in
wild.
a final, nonetheless.
The clips have been
Um,
insane.
no, it's been insane. But, next up on the crazy news list that I wanted to bring up is this Chinese college basketball sports betting scandal. I mean, they just convicted another 26 college basketball players, I think the number is. And essentially
What?
it's yes, it's these play so the same thing with the NBA when you see Terry Rozier, is in with the Italian mafia
Yeah.
and they're working and doing these big sports gambling things. The Chinese betting markets are doing the same thing, with different players and it's interesting because as a player they can't bet and you're leaving especially before NIL and before those things they probably left a lot of money on the table and these betting companies are saying, "Hey, you go turn the ball over 4 times and we're going to put $30,000 on your turnover line and we'll give you a cut of that every game you do keep betting for us." This is a good way for players to make money, but there's now college basketball players coming out and getting convicted in this Chinese betting market scheme or betting scandal. And so we're going to see more about that. And I said that as soon as the FBI busted Rozier and all those guys that were betting in the NBA, I knew more was going to follow because there's too much money in sports betting for it to not filter into these players. And, we've seen, referees in the past fix games and things like that. So I'm, super excited to see what happens. Not even excited. I'm just ready to be shocked. I can't wait till we see like LeBron is involved in the betting scandal or something like that. Like
Okay.
I
All
can
right. We don't have to
already
throw in LeBron.
imagine.
We don't have to
No,
throw in LeBron. Don't talk
Damon.
about the goat like that.
I don't know, but another betting scandal. I figured I had to bring it up. Look into it if you haven't looked into it. It's insane. People are just throwing games, and I knew as a Miami Heat fan, I knew Terry Rozier was up to something. So I'm really glad they got that guy, and he does not deserve to get paid another dime from Miami Heat. He's the worst trade ever in Miami history. Worst player ever. So that's crazy.
And the 26 were from the U.S. that got convicted?
Yeah, there's current and I think a few former college basketball players convicted in this betting scandal. So
That's
insane,
insane.
insane
Yeah,
news,
that's insane.
and I felt like I had to bring it up. But
Yeah.
let's move to the meaty stuff now because I know we're gonna be here for a while.
Ah, I know where we're
Starting off
going.
with the college football final, and
Let's
I
get
guess
into it.
I'll start here. As a Miami fan, and I feel like my takes are gonna probably piss you off a little bit, but this is what I'm gonna say. Indiana didn't show me anything that made me go, wow. Indiana is such an amazing team. They're like the 2019 LSU, the 2013 Bama. They didn't show me any of that. They're a good football team, and there's no disregarding that. But if you watch that game and say anything else than Miami beat Miami, you didn't watch the game. Let's talk about crucial penalties. 3rd and 16, false start. 10 points left on the board from special teams. If our tight end, we have 3 guys blocking the punter. In the final, it is inexcusable to miss a block. Like you should have got a penalty. You should have done anything. You should have dived in front of him because no matter what you did, it was better than having your punt get blocked on the 10-yard line. The, I mean, this is not so much on the field that the kicker as Cristobal. 4th and 2, half's about to end. Your kicker is kind of, iffy from more than chip shots out. Why are we giving him a 50-yard field goal? Like, we did not need a trust kicker there. We needed to drive that ball on the field. Obviously Indiana's run defense, I will say that is the one thing that I think was the most impressive from Indiana the whole game was their run defense.
Yeah,
They played really
I
well, and
agree.
Miami's got a great run, and Miami still gouged them decently on the run. But you have to go for that. You have to scheme up a play. As a coordinator, you have to, as a coach, you have 10, 15 plays that Indiana's never seen for this situation. We need to dial one of those up because this is big points. Because if you go into the half down 10-7, get the stop score, 14-10, it's a different kind of pressure on Mendoza, a different kind of pressure on Indiana, a position they haven't been in a ton this season, a few times, but not, against an opponent the caliber of a Miami. And so I think that was my take on there. I also, want to bring up Carson Beck. I don't think, for $10 million dollars a year or whatever his NIL was. It's stupid money. This guy is a horrible game manager, and I think I've said it from the beginning. This Miami team had two ways of losing, and I think Miami. This was a great year for them. I think it helps the program so much. It's a loss in the national championship, but it's going to bring bigger things. It's going to be better for recruiting, saying we're in these big games. It's going to be keeping the kids in Miami. Like that's, the bigger picture of this. But man, like I think with a more competent quarterback, in that game, Carson Beck missed a lot of throws. He missed 3 or 4 throws, and not to mention we have 57 seconds left on the clock. You have a good 2 or 3 plays in the hurry up offense to get you, one, you can spike the ball. If you're within 25 yards of the end zone, it's a lot easier to take a shot at the end zone from 25 yards than it is from 50. So I don't know what he was thinking tossing it into, double coverage there when he had Malachi Tony coming across in the flat. He could have gave it there. Malachi Tony make it, you get the ball in the hands of your best players. I mean, Marion as a dog, great receiver. I don't know why we're looking Marion's way. You have to look right for it's going to you have to look Malachi Tony. It has to be your read. You have to be saying, okay, Marion's double coverage. I mean, I don't know what went through his head. Maybe he'll do an interview and say, oh, I thought he was wide open or something. I don't know, because that's the only way you throw that ball. But I just don't get it, and it stinks because that Miami defense was on fire in the first half. Held them. That Indiana team has not seen, and it stands true the statement. If they didn't see anyone that physical, that fast, and it shook them. Mendoza was shaken up a little bit. He was like, man, I keep getting put on my ass. Like this sucks.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's just a tough thing of the more disciplined. Indiana didn't mess up, and that's credit to the coaching from Signetti. They have a very disciplined roster. I wish Signetti would maybe have a different facial expression every time the camera, because that's just, I mean, but maybe he does it to piss off the fans because he just has his freaking eyebrow raised the whole time. Like, what is he? This guy's like an act. Like you can't smile. You just scored a touchdown to win the national championship. You're gonna have your freaking eyebrow raised. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's my take on the game, and I don't know
Yeah,
what you have on it, but
I think just hitting at the first point with the check down to Tony, I don't know if you can throw that just with the time and just situation. Like obviously it's national championship, stakes are high. I saw looking back at the replay, like I see what Carson saw, because at the first break he did have him. If he obviously threw it looking back at it, but at the first break, I think it was a deep post or maybe a deep corner, one or the other. It looked like he was there for a second, and obviously it's a split second decision. You got to throw the ball, you got to make a play. I think maybe if you get up Tony in the flat, he maybe gets out of bounds. I'd have to go back and watch it. The main thing that I took from it was just in the first half, I would say a lot of it felt Miami. I think Miami got away from the run late in the second half, and Mendoza made back to back. It felt like maybe 4 or 5 in a row. It wasn't, but just deep corners or deep, back shoulder throws, and then just ended up being right in the chest and being able to make those plays. I agree. I think Miami's in a good spot. Like obviously losing the national championship sucks, but Miami looks really, really good. They look like a very good football team. I think Crystal Ball is a weird, and this is where I want to get your input. Crystal Ball's a little weird to me. I don't know. Does he call any plays, or the coordinators call both sides?
no, I'm pretty sure the coordinators called both sides and correct. I can get corrected if I'm wrong there, but Shane or Dawson. I think his name's Shane Dawson, or I think it's Shane Dawson. Not sure. Dawson essentially is
Yeah.
the OC, and he calls the plays, and and I actually will say this about Dawson. I think he's a solid OC, but I would like to see maybe is he hindered by Carson Beck, and he's got a pretty basic. We run a pretty basic offense, like
Yeah.
and I wonder if he has a better quarterback if he can start taking more shots. I felt like it was a little bit of passive play calling in the first half, and we're going, okay, we're just respecting too much. You can't respect your opponent. You got to go in there and make plays regardless of who is out there. And I think they didn't start doing it until I actually disagree. I think the second half they started calling them better uh, plays. They started being more aggressive, taking
Yeah.
more shots. They got away from the run game, but they had to. I mean, they're down. Miami style
Yeah,
is
you
get
gotta be
up
aggressive.
and then get down. The offense didn't show up in the first half. I think if the offense showed up in the first half, a lot different storyline in the second half, and you're going to see a lot of Miami just pounding that ball to Mark Fletcher, and we didn't get to do that in the trenches just due to the state of the game. And regardless, Miami played good. I think a lot of people didn't expect Miami to put up the fight they did, coming down to the last, minute of the national championship. And I think, good young core, and they'll be back.
Yeah. Now I don't know if they'll be back. I think Miami does have a good young core. I think it's hard with how the current state of college football is because you just never know who's going to be good. Like you just don't because I mean, and this is my take. Like a three-star who's played for 3 years of college football versus a five-star fresh out of high school. I mean, it's a toss-up at this point
Yeah.
because you don't know. You don't know, and like I think with Cristobal and just with Miami, like I think Carson Beck is Carson Beck. You know what you're gonna get out of him, and you can't expect much more. Like you don't expect Carson Beck to go out and put up a superhero performance. That's just not who he is. He's a game manager. Like he needs his defense to be great. He needed the defense to be great. Mendoza wasn't great in the first half. Maybe had a couple bailouts. I mean, the QB draw late, and that was just a psycho call from Signetti. It just was. It was a psycho call. He got in. He ran over the linebacker, whoever that was. I think with Miami, the one thing that I wish that would have happened was I think. Well, first off, before I even go to that, them missing Tony on that screen was a killer. It was a killer. That was a touchdown. I think everyone who watched the play knew that if that ball was thrown a little bit in front of him, touchdown. I know you agree. Had to have been a
I
touchdown.
mean, Carson Beck missed throws all night, and that's where I'm like, I don't know. I just don't. He's such a bad, like, he's just not
He was
worth the
horrible.
money, and he's not a bad player, but he's just not good enough. At the end of the
I
day,
think Miami needs a
your
mobile
run
quarterback.
game can be good, your defense can be good, but new age of football, quarterbacks win. Good quarterbacks are needed to win. And if you're playing against someone who has a good quarterback and a good defense versus someone with a bad quarterback and a good defense, team with a good quarterback and the good game manager is going to bring the team on the field, make the smart plays. It's always going to win. And so I think that
So
was
I
the
have a
story of
big
the game.
question for you. I have a big question for you. How much of the loss do you put towards Carson Beck and his girlfriend breaking up early in the year?
Well, actually, I think that made it better. I think Carson Beck needed to find a new girlfriend and then just cheat on her as well. Apparently, if that's what he did, and then do it again because I think after he cheated on her, he played fantastic. So I was, as a Hurricanes fan, I was like, he needed to do something else. He needed something to fire him up. I don't know. He needs some extra motivation. Uh,
So going forward is Chris Ball the guy?
For sure. I mean, he's just such a good recruiter. At the end of the day, college football nowadays is not so much about, and that's we'll talk about that later with the Dolphins head coach because it's something that he mentioned. Is college football is not so much X's and O's and oh, you're such a good coach. It's are you a good recruiter? Like, I mean, if you can put a squad of guys out there that just even Signetti, did a different way than Cristobal. Signetti went through the portal. Cristobal, Miami had a bunch of younger guys and did it a different way. I mean, even though Miami had a bunch of portal guys as well, they weren't as old and as tenured as Indiana's guys. It's just the game. You're a general manager as a college football coach now. You're not just a coach, and so I think it's a different game. And so it's definitely Cristobal. He's such a good recruiter. He's from Miami, played for Miami. I think he's the right guy and he's already shown. I mean, Miami needs to be back in the spotlight for a little bit, playing in these big games because Miami's had a recruiting issue when you have these teams like Bama and all these other SEC teams coming in South Florida, like even Ohio State. Like Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams should be at Miami right now. Why are they? Why are we
Hot
letting?
take.
It's not a hot take. They're
It
both
is a
from
hot
South
take.
Florida. Why are we letting them get out? Right? If you are a
Just because you're
serious
from South
institution,
Florida doesn't mean that
no.
you should
If you're a
stay.
serious college institution, you keep your dogs in South Florida. That's the way.
So
That's the Miami way. Like you
let me
think about
ask you
those
a question.
teams with.
Okay, if you are a five-star, Brian Williams is what a sophomore this year, so 2 years ago, way before Miami went to the Natty. If
Of
you're a
course,
five
of
star,
course. Two years
okay,
ago. That's what I'm saying. I agree. 2 years ago, not. But right now, this is what's important: is Miami needs to be in the spotlight. You need to win the recruiting battles. That's what makes Miami Miami. Is you look at those squads when they won the Natties back in the day. Those are a bunch of South Florida kids. South Florida breeds the best skill players across the whole country. if you can put multiple of those kids on the same team, you are always going to have a fighting chance in the Natty.
So what if Indiana comes to Miami? Does Indiana out recruit Miami?
They can't. We can't let. That's the whole point I'm making is Miami. If Miami wins those guys in Miami, Miami wins national championships. Miami stays
So
relevant.
basically, you're
And
saying the U's
Cristobal,
back.
yes, the U's back. I would argue the U. No, the U's back.
Don't
this
say
year.
no. You were gonna say the U never left. Don't say that.
No, no,
Don't
no,
say
no,
that.
no.
The U, the
U's
U is
back
on the build up.
and I don't know if it's a build up, but let me give you an example. I mean, if you're a recruit, and I gotta say, I mean, I could imagine if I put myself in their shoes and I'm playing and I look over to the sideline and I see Jason Taylor and I see Michael Irvin and I see Andre Johnson and I see Ray Lewis, like that's just pure dogs. That's Hall of Fame caliber.
Speaking of which, why are they on the sidelines, like coaching players during the game?
Because that's what it's about. I mean, Mike Irvin
Look,
has always been involved with the
no.
program. Jason Taylor is a DN. That's just what Mike Irvin can do what
Like,
he wants.
what
I
are
mean,
we
when you're
doing?
Michael Irvin, you can do what you want.
No, you can't.
Jason Taylor is the DN's coach. I want to say Mike Irvin's always involved. He's with the team. I mean, he's just
He
involved.
might be
He's
like
at
a
every game.
culture coach or something.
He's just I don't know off the top of my head if he has a coaching role. Maybe it's bad as me as a fan as I should know this, but I'm pretty sure he's just kind of just like he's just there.
Y'all need to hire Coach O. Coach O's in Miami. He lives in Miami. Y'all need to hire Coach O.
I mean, he's an OC. I think he'd probably be a good OC, but
Yeah, he'd be a great OC.
yeah. But
Bring back Joe Burrow.
anyway, jumping back to the Natty itself, I want to ask you a question now. We're gonna go
Okay.
into kind of the takeaways from the national championship. Is Fernando Mendoza good enough to be a game changer in the NFL, or is he the first overall draft pick that we've seen in a couple of years? In terms of talent, potential wise, and I love the guy. Like I think he's got a great head on his shoulders, but people lie, feelings lie, numbers don't lie, and the numbers are saying.
I think Mendoza, if goes number one to the Raiders, it's just a bad situation. You know what I mean? Like
He's got Genty. He's got a good run game.
He's got Genty, but like, I mean, he has Bowers to throw to, but other than that, like, you know what I mean? It's hard to judge him based off of like, because he's going to one of the toughest situations in the league. Like, it's just he doesn't have a lot to work around. I mean, obviously depends on who like the Raiders sign, but like just going off
And
today,
who have they hired? They haven't hired anybody yet, have they?
no, they don't even have a coach yet. So
Yeah,
like,
I think that's going to be a big thing too.
as of this pod preference, but like, I don't know. I think he plays the right way. I think it's hard to tell. I think he's tough. He's a tough quarterback. I don't think you could even. I mean, y'all hit him in the head. Y'all hit him right in the mouth of the helmet.
I think he's got a great head on his shoulders.
Yeah, I think it just depends on who they surround him with, and I think the Raiders need to hire an offensive guy that kind of fits that mold of Mendoza. Mendoza's not a runner. He's not mobile. Like he's got to be a pocket passer. Like that's just who he has to be. So I think getting good route runners around him, getting people who can make separation, fixing the offensive line. The offensive line was horrible for Geno. And then making sure that Genty continues to develop because I think Mendoza's at his best when he has a good run game with him.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
To answer your question, I don't know. Like I think it's hard because he's just going into it.
Okay. Let me rephrase the question so we can get a yes or no out of you.
Okay.
Is Mendoza talented enough to be a game changer, or is he just a game manager? What tile do you rank him in?
I'm gonna go game changer. I think he's got a good. I think he can read defenses well. I think he can. I don't know. I think he can make a little bit of noise. He reminds me a lot of, and this is a hot take. He reminds me a little bit of Tyler Shuck in the Saint, New Orleans. He does.
I think he's
I think it's kind of comparable. Yeah, I think he's gonna be good. I think he's gonna be good. That's my final take. Game changer.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now I want to ask you the same question though. You just played him. You watched him for a full 4 quarters. Come on, let me hear it. Just lay it down. Be honest.
It's a weird spot for me where I think he actually has one of the best heads on his shoulder out of a lot of the quarterbacks that have come out of the drafts recent years. Like he's super sharp. He seems like a really good leader. Like he seems like a guy you want to play for. Like just a genuinely good guy. Like, and I feel like that's why his teammates seem to love him a lot. He just seems like a genuine good person where you're like, I want to play for this guy. I want to run through a brick wall for him. And I think that's fantastic trait to have at such a young age for him as well, going into the league. When he's gonna have to be the leader of that offense. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I think that's huge. I don't know if Mendoza has the raw arm talent that you've seen in like some guys like a Burrow or like somebody like some of these other first round picks. But then again, I mean I think I can't hate. I'm gonna say game changer. I
Yeah.
don't want to hate on Mendoza. I like him, and I feel like it's just bad to. He's a Heisman. He's the first projected first overall pick for a reason. We've seen what he can do. They went 16-0. Beat Miami.
He has the best LinkedIn I've ever seen. I don't know if you ever looked at
Yes,
his
and he's a
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn demon. He's
He's
better.
a
His
LinkedIn
LinkedIn's
warrior.
better than mine.
Yeah, his LinkedIn's
LinkedIn
unbelievable.
demon.
Yeah.
Winner of this is Mendoza LinkedIn. But anyway, now we're gonna go winners and losers from the Indiana game. We're gonna finish off with this. I'm just gonna throw them out, and I want to hear winner, loser. Carson Beck.
Loser. Draft stock down.
Yep. Miami D line.
Winner. I think Bain played his ass off. I think Bain looked so good all night. I think he got complimented well. I'm gonna go winner.
Yeah, I think their draft stock rose, both of them,
Yeah,
Mesidor
they
and
look
Bain.
great.
I think they
Mesidor
look great.
looked unbelievable. Bain had some really huge rushes in the second quarter. I'm gonna go winner.
Mendoza.
His first half was rough. Can I go? I guess winner. He won it. Winner.
Yeah, winner. Signetti.
Winner. Winner. Best coach of college football.
The transfer portal.
I'm gonna go. Miami had some big people leave today. Loser. Signetti. I'm gonna go loser. I feel like Signetti's gonna. Actually, I'm gonna go winner. I'm gonna go winner. Signetti transfer portal the whole entire team.
Okay, winner. All right, I think that's gonna wrap us up here for college football, and I think now we got to get into the NFL because there's a lot. If you thought there was
NFL
drama,
was crazy.
I would say if you thought there was drama in college football, NFL playoffs, we're gonna get right into it. Bills Broncos. Holy crap! What even happened? Josh Allen was perfect until he wasn't and said, I didn't turn the ball over in any of my previous playoff games, so I'm going to make it all up because there is no Mahomes and there is no Lamar Jackson and there's no Joe Burrow. I am the quarterback here. Let me show everybody why. And he turns the ball over 4 times and Bills lose in heartbreaking fashion. I'm going to go ahead and pose the question to you. Was it a catch?
Okay, so here's my thing. It's hard. It in real time watching it. It's hard. It's hard to tell, but I think it was a catch.
And I want to agree, but I don't think I agree for the right reasons. I was just a Josh Allen glazer, and even on the last podcast, it's like Josh Allen has to win this year, or else he's never winning a ring for the rest of his life. Like Josh Allen will never win a ring now. Like he's going ringless. He's going to
Yeah.
be he's going to be the Dan Marino of our generation, where absolutely insane quarterback, arguably the best player in the league, and he ends up ringless because his team was never good enough around him. Well, Josh Allen is just kind of not been able to get over the hump, and I'm interested to see who they hire because they fired McDermott, but they fired him, and then I look at the coaching pool, and I'm like, that's the
Yeah.
most fiery job out of any job that any coach can take because the expectation is Super Bowl. Like
Yeah.
it's Super Bowl or bust. So if you get anything less, you failed as a head coach in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be one of the craziest job positions ever. But I feel for Buffalo fans. I mean, after doing a little more research in the rule, at first I was with you. I was like catch, catch, catch all day. Then I did a little more research, and by law, if the player does not have full possession when his knee goes down, it is incomplete. That being said, if they ruled him not having complete possession, that would mean the ball getting ripped out makes it an interception, and as tough as that is, I think that's where I wouldn't rage as a Buffalo fan. I would rage at the 2 PI calls that were called
Yeah.
for their drive.
Yeah.
That's where my anger would be at.
I feel like with most NFL calls though, and I want to get your opinion on this. I feel like they mostly like when it's like an offensive play like that, they always roll towards the offensive player. No.
Yeah. No, that is true. It's 50-50 goes to the offense, but I think in that scenario, they didn't get it wrong. I don't know. That's just such a tough call, and and
Yeah.
either whoever you make it against is going to be pissed off.
Yeah. Like
So
if I was a Bills fan,
if I was a Bills fan, I'm losing my mind every
like
second.
that's
I'm still
yeah,
crashing
yeah.
out. Like
I'm the same
I'm
way.
taking off work, not going to work. I don't want to talk to anybody. Like I'm pissed off. I'm a Bills
Yeah, I'm
fan.
taking off work. I'm going outside. I'm shoveling snow off my driveway because there's probably 10 feet, and then I'm just going inside and being angry all day.
Yeah, I mean that's just the reality of it, and
Yeah,
it's
it
insane
was
and,
a crazy play.
crazy game too, back and forth. Especially that second half was insane. Buffalo came back and the Broncos got punched in the mouth, took it, and then on that last drive, Bo Nix broke his ankle kneeling the ball.
Yeah,
I mean, can we
yeah.
talk about that?
And I want to know, was it the play before where he rolled out to the left that he broke his ankle, or was it
Yeah,
him
they're
kneeling
saying
down?
that they're saying that it was him rolling out, and I'm like, that's bull. Like he was moving okay, and then he goes down, and then all of a sudden his ankle is like he's moving not so he's moving a little gingerly, and so
Yeah,
I feel like it was that play, but and it makes you think like that. I mean, freak injury like that, like I don't even know. I don't even know. You take him off the field, like we think you're just gonna do that now. Like I mean, that's just so unfortunate. If I'm a Bronco fan, I'm pissed, but I think it sets up a funny storyline for Broncos Patriots with Stidham, who was once on the Patriots. Could be a funny little storyline if he ends up just being the greatest quarterback of all time that nobody knew
like
about.
I hope Sidham just comes out and just is like, hey, I'm a backup. I have nothing to lose. If I throw 3 picks, everyone expects it. If I throw 3 touchdowns, I'm the hero. I hope he just absolutely lets it fly the whole entire
No,
game.
I agree. I agree. And I mean, we'll talk about more of that Patriots Broncos game later, but moving back to that Bills Broncos, I think story of that game is Josh Allen is never winning a Super Bowl ever again. Sadly,
Josh Allen is just like it feels like he gets so close, but I think the general manager just genuinely hates Josh Allen. He doesn't want to put any pieces around him.
Yeah, and it's interesting and I haven't seen a lot of stuff about that, and they're saying, it's interesting the GM won that battle, and so, because either the GM or the coach or both were gonna have to go, and it seems like the coach McDermott kind of took that, and so, they don't have a great roster. It's kind of, yeah, it's just they need to get a better roster. They got to put some pieces around them. It's a really tough
They
job.
need
It's gonna
Carson
be really
back.
interesting to see. No, they don't. That's the last thing that they need.
They need Carson back. Best
But
quarterback in the country.
in good news though, in good news, Josh Allen gets to go home to Haley Steinfeld, and then also
That is true.
he
That
loves
is very
golf. So
true.
he's about to him and Haley are gonna go to their vacation house in South Florida that they probably have. And he's just gonna be chilling. He's got happy wife. They're having a kid. He loves the golf. He's gonna try and get better at golf, and maybe if football doesn't work out, he just grinds golf and becomes like a monster because he can hit that ball. I mean, I've seen some of those YouTube
YouTube
videos of
golf
him.
watchers are up right now.
Yeah,
With Josh Allen getting kicked out.
YouTube.
YouTube golf watchers
Yeah,
are so up. The
yeah,
videos are
YouTube
like
golf
going
watch.
nuts.
Yeah, and so that is a positive of Buffalo
That is
being knocked out.
positive.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on now to Bears Rams. I want to sit here and say, first off, Caleb Williams stock up.
Yeah, I think it has to be. BenchTalk podcast being completely wrong about the over.
Uh, that was not, and the thing we didn't take into account, which we really should have, it was really cold, man.
It was very
It was
cold.
cold, and
I
so
didn't expect it to snow pregame. That was the thing. I thought it was gonna be. I didn't expect it to snow.
it's all right. You miss 1,000% shots we take. That was the only line that we were completely aligned on, and we both
Yeah,
whiffed it. And so, I think Vegas heard our podcast and they said we're going to put in the
this
call.
felt like a very
Under's
Vegas
gonna hit
game.
it. Did
It did.
did you know? It
Because
was
this game was weird. It felt like Chicago's defense really ran the game. Like it felt like Ben Johnson and the defense knew exactly what McVay was going to run the whole game. Puka didn't get very involved until really later in the second half. Devontae, we can talk about throw to Devontae Adams if you want. Right now, we can wait a little bit.
go
But
ahead and rip it.
the throw that Matthew Stafford made to Devontae Adams was probably one of the craziest throws I've ever seen.
Does that just win him the MVP?
I think the MVP is decided this weekend. I think so.
Or
That's what
decided in the
that's
Super Bowl.
no, I don't think so.
But I think that it comes out before the Super Bowl, if I remember
Yeah, Super
correctly.
Bowl is the
Anyways,
weekend before, or MVP's are the
yeah,
weekend before. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think I think you have to be buying Caleb Williams stock. If because here's the thing, if I'm the Bears, I would try to keep the whole offense. I think the problem with the Bears is, and although the Bears played great defense, their secondary had a hell of a game. I think that's what kept them in. They have got to find a way to get pressure on quarterbacks, and that's what they haven't had all year. This game they did have it, so I want to preference that. This game they had a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but they have got to go into the offseason thinking defense, defense, defense. I think draft needs to be defense. Obviously, you might be able to pick up, a little bit of help on the offense just to get depth, but you have to be focused primarily this offseason on the defense.
No, 100%. I mean, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, that throw, that off the back foot to
Craziest throw.
Loveland, I think it was. That might have been one of the greatest playoff throws in the history of playoffs, and it's a shame that he followed it up with a pick on a miscommunication with DJ Moore, and because he was having an all-timer right there. And he was kind of making me believe. I was like, are the Bears just,
Yeah,
are they
dude.
good enough to do it? He's making me believe. So Caleb Williams stock up. I think also want to shout out the Rams. I think they're kind of showing their toughness and grit as a team.
Yeah.
Like they don't lose. They're tough. And I we'll get into it later, but I think this Seahawks Rams game could be game of the year. This is going
I
to be an
agree.
all
I think it's
timer.
gonna be
Like this is
unbelievable.
set up, which then I'm saying that and it's going to be the worst game ever, but it's set up to be the all timer. And so that's what we
Yeah.
said about
Yeah.
Bears Rams shootout. But um, moving on from Bears Rams, I mean that was a crazy game, but pretty straightforward there. Patriots Texans, C.J. Stroud, WTF.
C.J. Stroud, I mean, was horrible. Not good. Not good at all. Like, it was, like, hard to watch. Like, this was a snooze fest of a game. Drake May I think he had 4 fumbles. He recovered 2 of them. That you can fact check me. I think it might have been wrong. It might have been more. Like, Texans defense was balling. Like, the Texans defense was so good. Was so good. Patriots had 2 of the craziest catches I've ever seen in my life. Diggs and Booty. Booty's catch
Mm-hmm.
was unbelievable. Probably one
Yeah,
of it. Yeah, but
it was
other than that,
crazy,
like, don't
insane
have much to
catch.
say from this game. It was neither team played great. Neither
I
team
mean,
acted like they.
does this make you feel like the Patriots are more legit, or does it give you? Do you still feel as if there's some cracks there, and they just haven't played a team that's complete yet?
I mean, I think it's hard because, like, obviously May's a rookie quarterback, or not a rookie quarterback, or yeah, he's a rookie quarterback this year, right?
No, he's a sophomore. He
Yeah,
played he
but he
played
didn't.
seven games last year,
Yeah, but
eight
I mean,
games still.
but he never been in this position. Never been in a conference semifinal, and you're going through the growing pains of a
Hmm.
fresh new quarterback. You're launching him into it. You're playing in my opinion, the second best defense in the league. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean, I
know.
think
I think Drake May's stock is steady for right now. I think it didn't go up or down. I mean, the Broncos are, if they had Bo Nix, would be a totally different animal.
I want to say two things really quick. One, as a Dolphins fan, I'm so mad that the Patriots only took like 3 or 4 years. They lost Brady, and then it took them like 5 years to find their next franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. Dolphins
Yeah,
fans,
yeah,
Jets
that's
fans. I
too
mean, this is
overzealous.
just even Bills fans. I mean, this is so depressing that they have Bills. Okay, screw the Bills. They have Josh Allen. But Dolphins and Jets fans, I mean, we just have poverty franchises, and it's just like, when are we gonna find, especially the Jets? The Jets have not had a quarterback since like Mark Sanchez, if you want to count Mark Sanchez. But like,
Ugh.
I mean,
Justin
it's
Fields.
just so depressing to see the Patriots good again, and I'm just like, man. Also, want to call out. I think that Patriots defense showed why they're. I think that's the most underrated part about the whole Patriots. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
Gonzo, like they have a couple of guys, like a couple dogs in that defense. Like they're no slouches, and I think that's a lot of the reason why they stay in games as well as, and they're always winning these games is just their defense is very solid. And I think showed up today. Because C.J. Stroud, as much as he did throw 4 interceptions, I'm gonna say probably the most controversial take right now, and I think C.J. Stroud still has the potential to be a great NFL quarterback. I like C.J.
That's
Stroud
the
a lot.
worst take I've actually ever heard in my life. No one will agree with you.
I like C.J. Stroud. I like C.J. Stroud, but maybe I'm delusional. But
You think
that's my
Nico
hot take. And
Collins?
so
You think Nico
Nico
Collins being
Collins
hurt
was hurt.
that
I think
much
that helped.
made that
I
big of
mean,
a
that's a
difference?
safety blanket. That's a safety blanket. You lose as a quarterback, you lose your safety blanket. Not to mention the Texans O line is nothing special. I think the Patriots, hey, it's raining outside. C.J. Stroud, we're gonna stop the run and we're gonna make you beat us. And C.J. Stroud, one, didn't have the weapons, and two, didn't play good today, or he didn't play good against the Pittsburgh Steelers either. But I don't know. I think C.J. Stroud got to get in the lab and lab it up because he's shown the potential. I mean, that first year, I mean, he's shown that he can be a successful quarterback in this league. I mean, he's the winner. Nonetheless, he's got more playoff wins than Herbert. He's got more playoff wins than your favorite quarterback, most likely. And so at the end of the day, he has made it there. He continues to make the playoffs. He just needs to take it to that next level where he's shown that he can get to before, in my opinion.
Can we as a podcast go ahead and make a claim?
Go ahead.
Congratulations to the Patriots going to the Super Bowl. Congratulations, New England. Congratulations on the Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah, we can make that claim.
Yeah.
I'll jump on
Yeah.
that. I'll jump
Big
on that.
Will go ahead and make it. Congratulations.
Yeah, Bench Talk crowns the Patriots the AFC champions. So
Yep.
congrats
I'll make
Bench
the
Talk, or congrats Patriots, and congrats Bench Talk for a perfect another pick. So if you want
Yeah.
another pick to ride,
Yeah, like if you want
it's
to
a
go
free
ahead and
one
bet
right there.
it, you ought to.
I mean, it's horrible odds. I think the Broncos are plus 1100 to win the game, which is actually insane.
It's crazy. Their line right now
But
is
their
unbelievable.
line is horrible, and the spread's 5.5, I think. So,
Yeah,
um,
but we'll claim it.
anyway, yeah, we'll claim that. 49ers Seahawks. I don't even want to talk about this too much because I don't think there's much to talk
Ugh.
about. I just think all there is to talk about is Sam Darnold finally beats his demons. He finally wins a playoff game, big game. I think he beats that. I think the bigger conversation is where do the 49ers go from here? Because I feel like in a way like they have all this talent, but they're kind of stagnant in their talents, not getting any younger.
Yeah. Well,
Are they?
let me hit this first, and then I think it'll answer your question. Do you remember last year with the 49ers without Salah, how bad their defense was? I think that's a big part of it. I think obviously you keep Fred Warner and he's gonna be healthy again, but I
Well,
think
the injuries
Salah,
for sure. I mean, the
yeah, but I
injuries.
think Salah is the key to it. I think Shanahan without Salah, like that defense just isn't the same. And with him going to Tennessee, which we will get into, trust me. But I think that like he's Shanahan is comfortable with Salah. Obviously, he's made his stops there, but I don't know. I just think that I agree with you. I think the 49ers are going to take a big step back next year just because they don't have that defensive caller in there who knows Shanahan, knows how they like to run their defense, knows the offense. Like, I think Salah's an amazing defensive coordinator. I think he's probably one of the best in the league at calling defenses. But me personally, I think the loss of Salah is just might be too big to overcome next year.
I just think McCaffrey did some magic, some voodoo to remain healthy, and that's why all of his teammates became sacrificial lambs. And I think his voodoo will run out next year, and he's going to be hurt because this is how it goes. And I know it's how it goes because I'm gonna do my fantasy draft next year, and I'm gonna have probably like the 7th or 8th pick, and no, everyone's gonna pass on McCaffrey because like, oh, he's gonna get hurt. Then we play a super flex, and he's gonna be sitting there and gonna be like, if I draft McCaffrey, he's going to blow out his knee. And if I don't draft McCaffrey, he'll be the number one player in fantasy. So in about six,
Yeah.
7 months,
Same
we'll
with
know if
Jonathan Taylor.
McCaffrey's going to be healthy. So I'm not drafting JT. I missed that. I drafted him 2 years or a year before this year. Got on him too early. Not drafting him again. I'm just superstitious with if you have a good year, I can't draft you because you can't have that back to back. I don't know any running back that's had that, and so that's kind of my superstition. But
Yeah, I'm excited
anyway,
to get into fantasy football talk.
excited. I mean, that's going to be a big part of the talk show in the future. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that. Fantasy's a touchy subject for us right now. We both lost. It's terrible. Anyway, winners and losers of the NFL playoffs. Let's get into that now.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna throw some names. Sam Darnold.
Winner. 100%. Yeah, I think he finally got over the hump. Like, I think the big conversation with Sam was just when it mattered the most, he could never win. And I think in Seattle, he's figured it out. Winner. 100%.
Caleb Williams.
Winner. I think Caleb this year showed by far. I would say the only other player that's kind of in the category of Caleb Williams that would kind of compete with best improved quarterback would be Drake May. But I don't know. Caleb Williams looks like a dude. He just looks like that guy. He can make every throw. He can extend plays.
The city of Buffalo.
Losers. Losers. I think this was, like you were talking about, this was the year. Big losers.
Patrick Mahomes.
I almost want to say loser because Josh didn't win it all. Like, I feel like if Josh won it all, the conversation would be Josh Allen can only win it when Patrick Mahomes isn't in the playoffs. Does that make sense? Like, would you agree with that?
Mm, I see that take. I see where you're going
Like,
with
that
that.
would be my take to it. Is like, the Patrick Josh Allen can only win when Mahomes isn't in the playoffs. That would make him the biggest winner.
Fair. That's okay. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Broncos.
After Bo gets hurt, losers.
Losers, but not winners for making it to the AFC Championship.
No,
But just more losers because they're
just
just
bigger
okay.
losers.
Our friend CJ Beck.
CJ Beck.
Carson Beck and CJ Stroud combined. CJ Beck. CJ Stroud.
I mean, I think yeah, both losers. Horrible losers. Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck's
Loser.
not as big of a loser as CJ Stroud.
Loser.
I think CJ
Anyway,
Stroud's the biggest loser. You're the best
40,
defense in the league.
49ers and Kyle Shanahan.
It's hard injuries. I think for I'm gonna say winners. I think for what they've like, you have to think about that. Ayuk, their number one receiver, didn't play all year, and for what Brock Purdy was able to do with the offense, with Pearsall and with Jennings, and obviously Kittle going out, like I think you have to take the season as a win.
Roger Goodell.
I'm gonna reverse this, and I'm gonna ask you this question actually, because I want to see if we agree. Roger Goodell, winner or loser of the season for you?
Winner because he got everything he needed in a playoff card. He got controversy, he got comebacks, he got overtime, and he got missed bets. Vegas won, Roger won, bench talk lost.
Yes, I agree. I think Roger somehow watched our last pod and just was like, do the opposite of
Did we say Rogers? Goodell. Goodell won, not Rogers. Sorry, Goodell
Oh,
won.
sorry, Goodell. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, so bench talk lost though, and he
Bench talk
and
lost.
and now we know that Goodell watched the podcast. So thank you for watching, and maybe we don't click off after like the 50-minute mark, so that way you don't get our
Yeah.
picks and we get the people to win. Moving on now, last bit about NFL here, coaching carousel. We're gonna come in hot,
Let's do
Mr.
it.
Sala to the Tennessee Titans. How we feeling?
Yeah, I think it's a weird hire to me because last year obviously we draft Cam with the first pick, and it almost set up perfectly for us to go out of our way and try and get an offensive mind, a little bit like McDaniel's or McCarthy. And I know with his hiring, Salas already came out and said that he's going to be play calling for the defense. And so it makes me feel like Saul is confident that he can land a big offensive coordinator. But I necessarily am not too happy with it. I think the only way that I will be happy with it is if, we have a top 10 defense next year. If our defense outperforms the offense, then I think that there's a way to where it makes sense. With how last season went in our defense, I mean, it just feels like an out of character hire, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like it
no,
just doesn't feel
100%.
like something that progresses the team. It almost feels like we're kind of just okay with being where we are and trying to tank for another year and then give Saul the full reins to build a team how he wants.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, and I think the Titans have the same problem now. The Dolphins just hired Hepley, and hiring a DC, I feel like it's the pendulum. At least for the Dolphins, is you hire an offensive guy, then you hire a defensive guy, then you hire an offensive guy because nothing is working, and so It's going to
Yeah.
be interesting to see with the Titans as well. The Dolphins is, I think a big part of having a defensive coach is you have to land a good coordinator. But then when that coordinator does amazing, then he gets a head coaching job, and
Yeah.
then you have to land another coordinator. And so it's that constant battle of landing that, and it's going to be really interesting to see how both Titans and Dolphins do with that. I think the Titans are in a little bit better of a situation than the Dolphins, at least where they have a more aligned goal. Dolphins might have a couple of better skill players in there, but the Titans just have a lot of youth, have a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, I think, is the truth, and I'm excited to watch y'all play next year and see how that goes. Genuinely,
I think the main thing is that I think the Dolphins have to start the rebuild. Like I feel like they just are on the end of what they had with Tua, and now they're moving into the start of the rebuild, where the Titans are full rebuild. I don't know if
there's
we
nothing to
should.
start with the Dolphins.
Yeah,
The Dolphins have Tua.
don't even know where
They
they're
have
at.
Tua. They have Tua under contract for 2 more years. Like you have like a fake rebuild. Like I don't even know.
It
This is why I'm
almost
not a
feels like a
GM.
Russell Wilson situation.
I'm not a GM, and I don't know the ins and outs of all these financial contracts and offloading players and bringing in new players. But I'll give you a stat. The Dolphins have had the least amount of picks in the last, I think it's 5 years of any
That can't
NFL
be right.
organization.
How long has
Yeah.
Tua been a starter? There's no way. I mean, Tua was a truth in college.
Everyone knew. I mean, I don't know. I say everyone. Maybe clearly everyone didn't know because Mr. Greer didn't know that in the front office. Everyone knew that Herbert was the better pick. I'm sorry, in the NFL, Russell Wilson is the anomaly. Your quarterback got to be like 6 foot something. You gotta have a big boy back there. Like all the good quarterbacks, Mahomes, Allen. I mean, Burrow's a big dude, like tough guy. Like like your Kyler Murray's, your Russell. I mean, Russell was a dog, and let's not hate on Russell, but like your Kyler Murray's, your Tua Tagovailoa's, these little guys. Like I'm so sorry. And maybe it's just a preference for
What
me. Is
about
like I want my.
what about Bryce Young?
This is a hot take, but I
Hot
like the
take. I
way
feel it.
I like the way Bryce is progressing, but I still think he's a mid quarterback. Like he's like a
I think it's fine. I think it's. I don't think it's a hot take.
15th, 16th, 17th best quarterback in the league. Like you never know what you're gonna get with him.
I don't think it's a hot
And
take.
so, but I like the Panthers. I like the way they progress, and I think they've got a guy where they can try and build with him a little bit. And let's see what happens to the Panthers.
So let's say, for example, let's say this year, new coach, Dolphins are like, hey, we're going QB. Let's say they and
No,
this is no
if they
no
go if
no.
they go
Listen,
QB,
let's say it's a fantasy world. Let's say you offload Tua, you trade up, and you go QB. Who do you want the Dolphins to build around?
are we trading for Mendoza?
No, let's. You tell me. Let's rank them. Let's go 1 through 3 quarterbacks that you want this year.
Mendoza. If I was drafting Mendoza, but you're not getting Mendoza, Dante Moore went back. I don't want anybody else coming into the NFL. I think this is the worst quarterback draft class. I mean, I say that, and there's going to be a guy that comes in from some, a freaking third round pick who's a baller,
So
right?
basically,
But
a Brock Purdy 6th round pick. That's just
exactly,
yeah.
right? And so that being said, high end prospects where you're like, yes, first round pick. Like I'm not taking a first round on a quarterback this year. Get out of here. If
What
the
does Miami
Dolphins
need
pick
then?
best player available, best player available, Miami needs to draft best player available. Whoever we
Okay.
get to whenever a pick comes, we gotta look at it and say who is best player right now because that's the problem is you look at the guys. The NFL is a game of replacing your old talent, your old players with new, young, cheaper talent. That is the game of the NFL. And when the Dolphins, if you look at the 2022 draft class, like it's embarrassing. They're all gone. Like all of them are gone. They're all garbage. Like they're not all garbage. There's probably one guy, but off the top of my head, it's bad that I can't name you one guy from the 22 draft class that's really making an impact. And you look at like even Kenneth Grant, the last first round pick tackle, like the jury's still out on him. It's just they've wasted picks. Like I can go back years. Like I mean Devontae Parker, good little NFL player, but first round pick, 14th pick, not good. You know,
Is
like
Tyreek still
things
under
like that.
contract?
Yes.
So what do you do with Tyreek this year?
I think Tyreek's under contract still.
I thought he was on a contract for this year, but I don't know for
I,
sure.
th- I think I think he has. This is the last year of his deal. I'm pretty sure, and I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, Dolphins crap show.
So Dolphin stock down.
Dolphins
Sell
no, but
Dolphin
this is the
stock.
sell Dolphin stock because Dolphins are gonna go like 7 or 9 next year and get the 14th pick again.
Are you buying Titan stock?
I'm buying Cam Ward stock, and I've had Cam Ward stock. I've had Cam Ward stock for years now.
Listen, let me tell you something. Everyone needs to be buying Titan stock because here's what's going to happen. Either Saul's going to be good in a year or a couple years. The Titans are going to be good eventually. Cam Ward, I think, is going to change this franchise around. We're going to build around Cam. No, but Cam Ward and Tua are two totally different players.
Well, I wasn't banking on Tua, but Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in my
Just
lifetime.
saying. Just saying. We can move on, but I'm buying so much Titan stock. It's not even funny.
I mean, speaking of Titan stock and what would have made the price rise a lot, but didn't happen, and the price stays the same, is Mike McDaniel going to the Chargers. I mean, holy crap, is Amari and Hampton going to be a monster in this McDaniel system if he runs a similar
I
offense
think
to
it
what he did in
makes
Miami?
Ladd stock so high. I think Ladd is about to feast under McDaniels.
Even Johnston, that deep threat. If you look at the Dolphins' offense, you got Jalen Waddle as your lad. You got Tyreek, Quentin Johnston. You have Keenan. Is Keenan Allen still under contract there? I'm not sure. But if you have Keenan Allen come back again, you have a third guy who can get open and get the ball. And then you have Justin Herbert, who I think is an elite quarterback, and you could put that on record. I
100%.
think he's a top. Like with that O line, he proved that. I don't know. He's just a monster, and we talked about it a little bit last pod.
If
But
they go out and spin on their O line, the Chargers are going to be so scary.
I think McDaniel's system is going to help alleviate some of that O line play because they're going to have the check downs, the quick outs, the speed. It's a very modern NFL system, and McDaniel's is one of those guys. Just an offensive whiz, so gonna be
So
excited
what
to see
I'm
that.
interested in is what McDaniel saw in L.A. versus what he saw in Detroit, because I know Detroit wanted him bad, and Philadelphia.
Well, actually, the Lions apparently it wasn't a good fit in Detroit, and that's kind of the news there. They said it wasn't a good fit mutually, and so that didn't happen. Philadelphia, I think Philadelphia is an aging offense, and if I'm Mike McDaniel's, I'm looking at my career. I'm like, if you can get the O line signings, even if you get the O line 40% better with
Yeah.
Herbert, Ladd, Omari and Hampton, you're looking like you have a lot. QJ, like you just have so much. Aronde Gadsden, the tight end, young guy, big dude. Like there's so much exciting things to work with, and especially and also being under that hardball tree is probably going to help him a lot as
So
well.
I have a question for you. Is it more enticing for an offensive coordinator to take a decent team, but with a lot of potential? And if the offense plays really well, it looks so much better on the coordinator versus a team who has a roster ready to win right now. And then if you win with that offense, which one looks better for a coordinator? Because obviously it seems like McDaniels is going for a head coaching position again, but which one
Yeah,
gets him there?
I think it's not about talent; it's about profile of players. Like if I'm a coordinator, I'm looking at that Eagles team. I'm like, okay, got Jalen Hurts, solid quarterback. Can't hate on Jalen Hurts. He's not, like a Mahomes Burrow elite level like that, but he's a great quarterback and he's like probably a similar level to Herbert. We could put them in the same category probably. Then I'm looking at AJ Brown. If I'm an OC, like AJ
Yeah.
Brown is he's great, but and if I'm not in the locker room. I like AJ Brown. I think he's a great player, but like, is there something there where you don't want that pushback because AJ Brown is vocal about things like if you're an OC, you're like maybe I don't want to go there if I have this option to go to Herbert and McConkey and Omar and Hampton. I have that in my back pocket. Still a bunch of elite weapons. Then you have Saquon Barkley. He's getting a little older. He's got a lot of mileage under him. My hot take is actually that I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a fantastic year next year, and the Eagles look a lot sharper than they did this year. But that being said, I think I see the pick for the Chargers. I think it's a lot better player personnel to work with, and I think the exciting part of a coach is to make them better.
Yeah.
Whereas like there's a difference of a Mike McDaniel's can maybe make you better as a younger player, and you're more willing to listen, learn, get in and learn. As an older player, you kind of know who you are. If you're already elite, especially, you kind of it's more of a player management, like managing those big personalities versus system making players fall into system. So I don't know. I think it's a more loaded question than just
Yeah,
decent offense versus elite offense. I think it's all about player profiles.
makes
But
sense.
speaking of Harbaugh tree and McDaniel, Harbaugh to the Giants was the other big move. I just think it's a good move all around. I don't think there's much to say
Yeah,
about
it's a
that. I
good
think
pick.
it's Giants are the best place to be in. I think for any head coach, you have so much talent, got your quarterback. Let's ride. I think
Should
that's
be a
it.
Titan. Just saying. Should have went to Titans. Should have paid him.
But well, anyway, I had to give him the GM spot too. So that was I think that was the other thing. I think he's gonna, or even though Schoen's still there, or the Giants GMs. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know how it's gonna work. That's what I
Yeah, I
thought,
want to
but
see. I'm really interested in who they're gonna draft because
yeah, it's gonna
they
be
need
interesting
help
to
on
see
both
those
sides of the ball.
conversations. Yeah, Giants got a good frame though, good core. All right, moving into the last segment of the week here, which is or the last segment of the pod, which is our locks of the week.
Best
Last
segment,
week we went 2 for 10. We went 2 for 10.
100%.
The only positive is that it can't get worse.
Can't. They literally can't.
And if it gets worse, this might be the last locks of the week segment on the podcast. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
We're always going
Big
to bring you
pressure on
locks of the week.
us. Big pressure
But
on
it can't
us.
get worse. It won't get worse. Like, I know it won't get worse. It won't.
No,
And so,
can't.
this week, we have the Rams, Seahawks, and the Patriots, Broncos, and then a lock of our choice. So, we're going to give you 6 locks this week, 3 from each of us.
Let's do it.
Because we wanted to stay on track with the football. We haven't kind of breached into the college basketball yet or the NBA, so wanted to keep it simple. So we'll start off. Al, Rams Seahawks, game of the year potential. What's your lock?
My lock for the Rams Seahawks is Rams money line.
Oof.
Rams money line. I think. Listen, I think Sam Darnold has been great. I think Sean McVay's better. I think this is the week that Sam Darnold kind of returns down to earth. I think Seahawks are a great team. They have the best defense in the NFL. I think just Matthew Stafford, too many weapons. Puka Nakua, Devontae Adams, Rams money line. Give me it.
Love it. I mean, I have a similar outlook here. I say Rams Seahawks, game of the year potential. You've got two teams, both great on the defensive side of the ball. Two offenses that, I think the Rams have a better offense, but don't sleep on Darnold and Njigba and those guys up in Seattle. Kenneth Walker. They're not any slouches. But when the lights get bright and the pressure's on, the big players got to come and play.
Say it.
And so give me Puka Nakua over on yards because when the lights are bright, you need your big guns to play, and I believe that Puka Nakua is going to hit the over on yards, and we're
I
going to
thought
see
you
a
were going to
big
go Rams
game.
money line.
Nah,
It's alright.
no money line.
It's alright.
But excited for this game. I think it's going to be a great game. I will be glued watching this
It's gonna be
game.
a
It's
great
going to
game,
be
for sure.
fantastic. Patriots, Broncos, what's your pick?
This is a weird one for me. I think I'm gonna go Patriots minus 5.5. I just
Ooh.
I think I don't know how much the Broncos can score just with a quarterback who hasn't played a real meaningful NFL snap maybe ever. I know he's played a couple snaps in the past, but I just think that it's hard for me to believe that Drake May can't put up at least 2 or 3 touchdowns. And then I
Mm-hmm.
believe in the Patriots defense. I think they can get some stops and build on some momentum. But I'm gonna go Patriots minus 5.5.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty good lock fair. I kind of had a similar thought myself, and you kind of hit on my line. Went Drake May over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think this is
Huge.
going to be a routine game for the Patriots. I think we're going to see Drake May walk out of there with a 247 and 3 tutty stat line. I think it's going to be nice. I think you're going to it's either going to be a blowout, and even if it is close, Drake May is going to throw for 3 touchdowns. So I think this is the safest lock on the parlay
Yeah.
list, and that might be a bold claim. And when we come back next week, we might see Drake May injured in the first half or something, knowing my luck. But at the end of the day,
Hope not.
Drake May, great player. I hope not as well. We don't need any more QBs getting hurt, but Drake May over 1.5. Now, this one I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to see what sport you went for, because we haven't talked about these. What game you went for. what is your guaranteed specialty lock of the week that you said I have my expertise in?
Yeah, so reached out a little bit to the fourth liners, and was really just diving in deep with them, trying to figure out some NHL picks and what they thought was going to hit. Ended up, I'm going to take the Flyers over the Mammoth Wednesday night.
Mm,
Seems like it's got a good, it's plus money. A little bit of an underdog in the Flyers. I think they're going to be able to pull it out though.
I like it. Getting the fourth line involved, getting to the NHL. NHL is starting to get into the playoff run in. The conversations are happening. It's
Olympics
a big
coming
time
up.
for the sport. The Olympics are coming up. You're going to see exciting stuff on the pod where we're going to bring the fourth liners on. So
It's
be
going to be
ready for
awesome.
that. It's going to be electric. We're going to be keeping up, giving you guys that Olympic coverage. So super excited about that. Hype that you went with the NHL lock.
I'm excited to hear your pick. I'm excited to see what sport you
Yeah.
went. I think I know, but I'm
So,
excited to hear.
so lock of my choice. Thought about this a little bit. I mean, couple of good college basketball games this week. I feel like betting basketball is so tough, so I didn't want to bring the lock there. And I say that in the sport that I went for was soccer. There's a big game this weekend involving my team, so I was like, you know what,
I
it's the
knew it
worst
was
decision
an
to bet on
Arsenal
your
pick.
team, but I wanted to go for Arsenal. And it's actually an interesting one. It's Arsenal United, both teams to score,
Okay.
and and big game. Arsenal are historically, in the past they've beaten United the last couple times, but as a fan, we always look shaky against United, and I can just see a 2-1 score, 2-1 Arsenal, 3-2 Arsenal, 2-2 Arsenal. It's gonna be a cagey game. United are gonna get one. They always do against Arsenal, and so I think the lock of the week for me, soccer, Arsenal United, both teams to score. Hopefully United beat them, or so. Hopefully Arsenal beat. Hopefully Arsenal beat United 5-1. Oh, if United beat Arsenal, I'll never hear the end of it. So I need them
Oh.
to win.
Do you have a prediction on who scores for what team?
If I had to do that, this is not official locks, by the way. This is
Yeah,
just
no
me
official logs. This is just
guessing.
yeah.
Um, I like a Trossard goal for Arsenal. I don't know if he starts though because he did play. He only played 60 minutes today. But if Trossard starts, like a Trossard goal, and I also like a Declan Rice goal. Declan Rice just always making those runs in the box. Guy is just a wizard. Declan Rice goal for United if they score, which I have them to score. So, as a fan, I hope they don't score. But as an analyst of the game and a locks god, I think that it's gonna be Bruno. It's gonna be. I could see Shesko scoring against Arsenal. It's gonna be one of their forwards there, in Buemo, Shesko, Bruno. To three, I'd put the score on Arsenal for sure.
It's gonna be a fun one for sure.
Yeah, I know. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you made it all the way to the end of the pod, we appreciate you. We love you, and we thank you for your watching time. And we hope that we entertained you for the last hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Other than that, we'll see you guys next week with a 100% lock pick hit rate and maybe a little more cash in your pockets. You can
yeah.
always.
Let's get
We're
some
like
people some
Robin
money.
Hood.
Let's
We're
get
like
people
Robin
rich.
Hood. Taken from Vegas, given to the poor because we have ball knowledge,
Giving
and
to the
that's
people.
something you can't beat. But thanks, y'all. See y'all.
Love you.